Have you ever handed over your money to a con artist, only to realize later that you got scammed? I have, but I won't disclose the details. It can happen to anyone. If your highest ambition is buying something from a TV shop or investing in dubious pyramid schemes to get rich quickly, trust me, it's not that serious. Yeah, somewhere out there, some people were duped into buying a whole country. Let me introduce you to this dapper young man, Gregor McGregor. Unlike his namesake, he didn't gain notoriety through sports. He had to be a bit creative. Gregor hailed from the renowned Scottish clan of McGregors. Before Gregor's time, there were two major claims to fame for this clan. First, they were said to be among the first to play the bagpipes. Ooh, now we know who to blame. And second, Robert Roy McGregor was considered a national hero in Scotland. It seems Gregor aspired to be the greatest of them all. Thus, at one point of his life, he became a prince without even being related to any royal family. Little is known about Gregor's childhood, but it likely wasn't too bad. He was a great-great-nephew of Rob. His grandfather distinguished himself in the military, and despite the early demise of little Gregor's father, his family was quite respectable. His mother had connections, and he even attended the University of Edinburgh. Gregor joined the army at just 16, the youngest age possible. To make his life easier, his family even purchased him a military rank, probably for about 450 pounds. He traveled far and wide and experienced many things, but it wasn't enough. So he resolved to change his life for the better once and for all. Sounds just like the promises scammers make on the internet these days. There's also an important detail. Around 1804, McGregor was introduced to Maria Bowater, the daughter of a Royal Navy admiral. Maria came with a significant dowry and, apart from her father, had connections to two generals and even a member of parliament. Ooh, that's a match. McGregor formally retired from British service on May 24, 1810, receiving back the 1,350 pounds he had paid for his ranks of ensign and captain, and returned to Britain. Upon his return, he and his wife moved into a house rented by his mother in Edinburgh. Not only did he live off his wifey's money, but he also didn't hesitate to dip into mommy's cash either. In Edinburgh, he took on the title of colonel, flaunted a badge from a Portuguese knightly order, and toured the city in an extravagant, brightly colored carriage. After failing to gain high social status in Edinburgh, McGregor relocated to London in 1811 and began styling himself as Sir Gregor McGregor, Bart, falsely claiming to have succeeded to the chieftainship of the McGregor clan. He also hinted at familial ties with various dukes, earls, and barons. But these claims bore little resemblance to reality. In December 1811, Maria McGregor suddenly passed away. In an instant, McGregor lost his main source of income and the support of the influential Bowater family. While most people would have been consumed with grief, Gregor had other pressing concerns. He got cut off, he lacked public recognition, and his main financial support had vanished. His options for moving forward were extremely limited. First, announce his engagement to another heiress. But could he realistically do that? It was too soon, and it could have caused an embarrassing public outcry from Maria's relatives. Second, return home to farm the McGregor lands in Scotland. But that's akin to a girl heading to LA for auditions, failing miserably, spending all her savings, and then taking a 30-something-hour bus ride back to her hometown in Oklahoma. Now, I have nothing against Oklahoma, but you get the drift. Going back to the moors would have been unbearably dull for Gregor. As for a job, well, his experience lay only in the army. But remember how he left? To put it simply, returning to military life would have felt too awkward. However, something else stirred McGregor's imagination, and that was Latin America. During a recent visit, the Venezuelan general Francisco de Miranda had garnered much attention in London society, and McGregor might have even met him. Observing how London's elite treated Miranda, McGregor must have thought that embarking on exotic adventures in the New World could earn him similar fame upon his return. He sold the small Scottish estate he had inherited and set sail for South America. In April 1812, he disembarked in Venezuela. He attempted several initiatives there, but the one that made him infamous rather than famous was the Poyet scheme. In his desperation to avoid work, he literally invented a country, trying to sell it off to support himself for the rest of his life. Now, I'm nearly certain Gregor possessed extraordinary networking skills and charm. Otherwise, I can't explain how, on April 29, 1820, King George Frederick Augustus granted MacGregor an astounding land grant of 8 million acres, larger than Wales, in exchange for some rum and jewelry. This land was located somewhere on the territory of present-day Honduras. It had little to offer in terms of agriculture or livestock sustenance, but it was visually appealing. MacGregor named this territory Poyes, after the local Poya people. By mid-1821, he had returned to London, claiming to be the cazique or prince of Poyes, despite having essentially fabricated both the title and the land. Now here's where his earlier misfortunes turned into fortunes. At 23, when he attempted to break into London's high society, no one really took notice of it. Consequently, they were unaware of his actual history, allowing him the freedom to fabricate whatever narrative pleased him. So, while London society remained blissfully ignorant of MacGregor's dubious past, his charisma and tales about Poyes caught their fancy. Plus, how could they verify anything without Google or a telephone? Gregor even brought along a captivating princess of Poyes named Josepha, further enhancing his allure. He claimed to be seeking investment and settlers for Poyes, promoting it as a land of opportunity. He published a guide for prospective settlers filled with exaggerated descriptions of Poyes, including talk of a bustling capital and abundant resources. Though mostly fabricated, the carefully crafted document managed to convince many, with land allotments flying off the shelves. MacGregor's aggressive marketing attracted a significant number of Scots, who were promised excellent living conditions. He orchestrated emigration initiatives, dispatching several ships to Poyes. However, upon their arrival, the emigrants encountered a very different reality. The promised thriving society was non-existent. Instead, they found only swampland and hardships. Health conditions quickly spread through the group, resulting in despair and even fatalities. The settlers had to face the harsh truth. There was no cazique, no Poyes, and they were, in fact, illegally residing on the territory claimed by the king. Luckily, some were eventually rescued. In total, of the approximately 250 who set sail for Poyes, at least 180 lost their lives in the attempt, marking one of history's most audacious confidence schemes. And what became of the self-proclaimed prince? Well, when belief in Poyes waned in Britain, he attempted to peddle it in France, with little success. Later, MacGregor moved his family back to London after the initial outcry surrounding the return of the Poyes survivors had settled down. Some investors still supported a £300,000 Poyes loan from Thomas Jenkins and Company, misled by claims that previous defaults were due to an agent's mishandling. Shortly after this, MacGregor was arrested, but released without charges. He then launched a simpler Poyes scheme, calling himself the Cazique of the Republic of Poyes, and established a new office that made no diplomatic claims. In mid-1827, an anonymous warning started circulating in London, alerting investors to a potential scam. Although many investors recognized they were being deceived, few questioned the legitimacy of Poyes itself. MacGregor's later attempts to sell land certificates for Poyes met with failure, particularly after King Robert Charles Frederick issued competing certificates. As investors clamored for overdue interest, MacGregor could only offer more certificates in response, like in a Ponzi scheme. By 1834, he had returned to Edinburgh, where he tried to redeem some securities with new land certificates. His last recorded attempt to sell land certificates occurred in 1837. Josepha MacGregor passed away on May 4, 1838, in Bergmerhead near Edinburgh. Soon after, MacGregor departed for Venezuela, where he established himself in Caracas. In October 1838, he sought to obtain citizenship, and regain his previous rank in the Venezuelan army, including requests for back pay and a pension. But his life was never royal. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.